So I spent about, I guess, 14 years of my life as an ICU nurse. And one of the worst assignments that I had, or for me, maybe for others it wouldn't have been so bad. And I had I have a pretty strong stomach. I've dealt with all types of stuff, seen so much as a pediatric intensive care nurse. But the one assignment that made me very squeamish that they actually had to take me off of was one where a little girl had she had torn off the top of her finger, and they sewed it back on. But as they waited for the return vessels to grow back into her finger in order to keep the to keep blood from building up in her fingertip, we had to put leeches onto her finger like every 2 hours or something crazy. And yeah, that was just a little too much for me. The little girl was like 4. I think at the time I was pregnant as well. And it was just too much. I couldn't do it. I was more frantic than a little girl. I was like, so they was like, yeah, we're going to take you off this assignment. And I said, thank you. Thank you. Because you had to put them in this like solution, and they had to explode at the end. You had to put them in this solution, and you had to watch this thing explode in alcohol, and you had to watch carefully because if it was done feeding off of her finger, it would just crawl away, and now you got to find the leech in the room. It was ridiculous. And here's a life lesson in that. Maybe, I don't know. Some of us, or this is what I'll say I've learned in my life, for me, something that I have been doing is that there'll be people in my life that are just like that leech, but I don't recognize them as a leech. Institutions that are kind of leechy. Yeah. And they're kind of sucking you dry. But since you don't recognize them as leeches, you're like waving at them, bringing them on over like, hey, how you doing? It's like you almost begging for somebody to suck you dry. And I kind of realized that today. I was like, dag, I got to get, it's a few places in my life where I have to get rid of some of those leeches. I don't like leeches. I don't like them. And you'll be wondering why you tired all the time. And it's because you need to get rid of them leeches. You have to identify them. Some of us have gone through so much trauma in life that we've been so deconditioned. Like we don't even notice the leeches in our life. We have so many things that are sucking us dry that we don't recognize because we grew up thinking that was normal. We grew up believing that extractive systems were normal. People taking from you more than they give was normal. The only people who should take from you more than they give are your children and maybe your parents once they get older, and your grandparents. People who are older now and they've paid their dues are your children. Everybody else, I'm sorry, unless you're going through little seasons, but overall, don't just take on stuff, and a lot of women, and maybe men too, go out of our way to gain the attention of somebody who is just going to extract from you. That's all they want. Most of them. Well, you know what? Look, I can't say most. I can just say what my trauma has attracted. And I can only speak to what I've seen, the trauma of those around me, what it has attracted often. And I've seen some people in some very, very beautiful and healthy dynamics. But I think it's important to recognize when you're out of order and when the people around you, relationships, whether it be a romantic partnership, whether it be friendships, not really friendships, frenemies, when you recognize that they are actually extracting from you, financial institutions, jobs, the government, systemic racism. So many of us, especially Black people, we're so used to oppressive systems, and we're so used to being extracted from, that we almost like dress up, and like pick me first to be extracted from. Like, let me get real pretty so you'll pick me first to extract from. Come on, suck my blood, suck me dry first. It's complete insanity, but we don't even register it for what it is. So that's it. This, I'm going to just consider this story time and life lessons. This is Serene Rivers. We are in Black Lotus heaven. I called it Black Samurai heaven before, but you know what? Look, we ain't fighting no more. This is Black Lotus heaven. And here we don't wait for anybody to save us. We study, apply, and we learn how to do things to co-create with the Most High. We bring in divine assistance now. We never cut that out. But we learn how to do things for ourselves instead of waiting for people to save us. Because when you do that, a lot of times that's when you are attracting extraction. So that's it. Love y'all. Peace.